Great. All right, it's 6:33. We've got critical mass of people. So we'll get right started and not waste anybody's time. My name is Dan Friedman. I use he, him pronouns. I am from the state lobby team with Sierra Club National. My second year here with Sierra Club. I'm glad to be working with the New Jersey chapter. I work with 13 states. Though I don't currently live in New Jersey, I grew up there in New Providence, and still proud New Jerseyan. Jackie, do you want to come off and introduce yourself as well?
Sure. Thanks, Dan. Great to see everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Jackie Greger, she, her pronouns, and I'm the communications coordinator for the New Jersey Sierra Club. And I'll be here to help out with Lobby Day and they're in person on the 12th. So thanks everyone for joining tonight.
All right, so let's go to the first slide. Um, so just a little overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to have just the agenda and the logistics for the lobby day. And I should also say apologies in advance. If you did come to our fall lobby day, a lot of this will be duplicative information that I shared at that time. But we'll have a chance to go over some new things as well. We'll go over the telling your story piece, which is always good to review some best practices for how to lobby effectively and get the message across to legislators. Then we'll go over the bill and the actual content for the lobby day for 100% clean energy by 2035. And then we will talk about the experience and do a little review. We can go to the next slide. So the lobby day agenda, this is somewhat new to me. So Jackie, please correct me if I botch any of this, but we'll be arriving at 9 o'clock. I say we, I will not personally be there for this one, but there will be a rally and press conference in front of the State House Annex building. We'll go over like parking and all that in a minute. And then at around 9:50, we'll go through security to get into the building. This will be at the small building between the State House and the Annex, leaving a good 20 minutes for that as it does sometimes take time and not move the fastest. And then we have lobby meetings scheduled throughout the morning and afternoon. We're working on scheduling those now, so schedule and kind of which legislators we've pinned down is TBD, but you will get that information closer to the day. And you'll also have some time at 10:20 or so early in the day to meet other people in nearby districts and meet people who you'll be in a lobby group with, so you can go over the different talking points and who wants to cover what in your lobby meetings. Then we'll have lunch at 12 o'clock, committee room 7. That's kind of our home base for the day. Obviously, we're going to have lobby meetings happening throughout the day, so you might have some during lunch as well, but that is a-okay. You should have a chance to get lunch at some point. The meetings won't be too long. And then the wrap up will be 2 o'clock through the end of the day, and that'll be in the cafeteria of the State House Annex. All right. Next slide, please. Let's go over some transportation tips and have some notes on this so I don't forget. So carpooling is number one thing that I want to mention here. If you do want to carpool, feel free to put it in the chat. Put your name in there, your location, any contact info so someone can reach out to you, maybe an email or phone number, or reach out to us, the staff, so that we can connect you with someone coming from your area. We know people are coming in from all parts of the state, so feel free to put that in the chat if you do want to carpool and coordinate now. The parking situation, there's fairly limited parking in the garage. It's at the rear entrance off Route 29. There's a limited number of spots, but there is plenty of street parking available on West State Street, and other pay lots are located within walking distance. And of course, we encourage you to take the train if you can. It's real close to the State House. If you haven't been before, it's 10 to 15-minute walk. And there's bus service and train service to Trenton. So that is transportation. Now we'll get into mechanics of lobbying, telling your story, best practices. again, for some of you who are here in the fall or who have lobbied over the years, this will be review, but hopefully we can share some new things as well. So we use, our team likes to talk about the heart, head, and hand method. So our inclination, of course, is to approach lobbying by inundating people with facts, to give a whole thesis and provide an explanation of why your viewpoint on a particular issue is the most logical, and therefore the legislator should support you. But more often than not, people, legislators are human beings and they need some emotion to understand the issue and to frame the issue, understand why it matters to you. So we lead with the heart message, and that's the part where we make our issues relatable by telling a story or telling the legislator why you care about a particular issue on a personal level. So the example I give is my coworker always leads with a story about her brother who has asthma, and as a child, she had to witness him having breathing issues that were exacerbated by poor air quality in their local community. And so she leads with that story, and it really gives the lobby meetings that she has with legislators about clean air, about climate, a personal touch. And of course, if you don't have something so specific like that, you don't have to. You can just be someone who cares. I fall into that camp myself. You could take a broader approach and simply talk about why you are personally invested in this issue. For example, maybe you have kids or grandkids or nieces and nephews. You simply want them to have a more sustainable, livable, healthier future. Maybe you have a body of water in New Jersey or a landscape that you have a connection to, and you want to make sure that climate change doesn't threaten it and make it inaccessible in the future. So anchoring with the heart message is really important before you kind of launch right into facts. And remember too, legislators are dealing with hundreds of issues. So that is why the personal story really matters too, is that they need something to understand why this matters to their constituents. Then you go for the facts, and you don't want to inundate them with a whole dissertation, a few facts about the issue, how the bill addresses the issue. We're going to have a fact sheet on the bill, so you can leave that behind as well. But an important thing too, if you want to take it to the next level, is to keep the facts relevant to the entity that you're lobbying. So the example I give here is the same coworker that I talked about before, whose brother had asthma. She went into a meeting with a legislator who didn't have, I think, the best record on climate, but who she found out either through inside intel or another meeting that this legislator really cared about butterflies and had a butterfly garden, and that was her whole shtick. And so she went into the meeting with facts about how climate change was impacting butterfly populations in the state. And it really got the legislator to care more about this clean air and climate change bill that she was lobbying on. So if you can get any, inside information on that, that's always helpful as well. And lastly, the hand is when you simply make the ask. Something what we sometimes often forget to do is to really just make the ask. There has to be an ask, and you want it to be direct. You want to be clear about what action you want them to take. If you can boil it down to a yes or no question, like, will you support this bill or will you oppose this bill? In our case, we want them to support it. Or is it maybe you want the committee chair to prioritize a bill, for example? Whatever the ask is, you want it to be clear and you want to make sure you get it in there. And you may only have a minute in the hallway speaking with the legislator. So it's important to not get too far off the field and make sure you get to that ask as quickly as possible. Be ready to hold the silence when you make the ask. There may be an awkward silence. Legislators don't want to commit to something on the spot. And so, my coworker always says, count to 10, which can be a long time. But whatever it is, make sure you are ready to hold that silence. It may be awkward, like I said. But just be ready for that and don't shy away from making a clear ask. So that's the heart, head, and hand. And we can go to the next slide. Few best practices when it comes to lobbying. Try to be clear about who is speaking on what topics and when in your meetings. So like I said, there'll be some time in the morning after we do the press conference and the rally to meet with your fellow lobbyists in your group and decide who's going to speak on. Normally we break it up as by bill, and each person covers a different bill, but in this case we have one main bill, one main issue. So maybe you want to have one person cover a certain set of talking points, another cover different talking points, another person to be the one who keeps us on track and makes the ask. So it's always good to just have that little pre-meeting in the morning and have a clear plan for your lobby meetings with your group. Don't talk about your opponents unless asked. That's a really big one that I am often guilty of breaking. It's easy to start going into a diatribe about why our opponents' arguments are wrong and how what they say is wrong. But honestly, a lot of the time that just wastes time. You have limited time in your meetings, and you might end up making their argument for them. We don't know where our legislators stand on some of these issues. And so to you, it might make sense to say, well, my opponent believes such and such about the issue, and it doesn't make any sense, but it might actually make sense to the legislator. So if you can skip the opponent mentions altogether and just stick to your argument, that's usually a best practice. Don't make things up. Be comfortable with, I don't know, you're building a relationship here. So you don't want your relationship to not be built on trust. That's what relationships are built on. So just be comfortable with saying, I don't know, if they ask something that's outside of your realm of knowledge. We're going to have note-taking sheets so you can write down their question and let them know. We'll get back to you later with an answer to that. Be direct and succinct. So like I said earlier, you may only have a minute or two in the hallway. You might have a 15 or 20-minute meeting set up, but it might be really quick. And a lot of us come to these issues with a lot of experience or a lot of background or passion, and we want to tell them the whole story and the whole book about, whatever it is, nuclear energy, for example. We want to tell them everything that's bad about it or good about it or wherever you stand. Well, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. You want to be direct and succinct and get to the heart of the issue as quickly as possible, because, like I said, you may only have them for a minute. Avoid jargon. There are, like I said, hundreds of issues that these legislators are dealing with. And so they're not going to be up on necessarily, unless it's an issue that they happen to be well versed on, the acronyms and the jargon that some of us just kind of go on autopilot and start using. Lastly, I don't think I put it on here, but sometimes your meetings are going to be with the staffer and not the legislator. And we have a tendency to think those aren't as important. Sometimes they're even more important. Sometimes the staffer is more in charge than the legislator, to be honest. So take those as seriously and treat them like a legislator meeting. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, now we're gonna see if anyone is brave today. You might wonder why a picture of a dog is on the screen. It's my dog, Pluto, and it's a great example of a lobbying success story. So for years, my partner Anisha tried to convince me to get a dog. I didn't grow up with one, and so I thought it was too much responsibility. I had a lot of hobbies, and I just thought, this is just going to be too much. But eventually, her relentless lobbying efforts really paid off. She, without knowing it, used the heart, head, and hand messages that really turned me around over the years. And so she would say things like, that she would lead with the heart message. I've always wanted to get a dog of my own. This is like such a core part of my identity, was having a dog in my childhood. Or we'd be watching a movie and she would say, like, wouldn't it be so nice if there was like a sweet animal sitting at our feet right now that would just really complete the moment, and really pull on my heartstrings. And then she would give me facts like, having a dog is great for your health. She even pulled out some studies about how it can extend your lifespan from all the walking and all the good things that come from having a dog. And then she would obviously ask repeatedly if we can get a dog. Um, and so now I'm like the most obsessive dog person ever. It was a lobbying success story. It's like half of my personality is this dog. Um, so that's why I share that story. And I don't know why I wrote thank them at least for their time, but would anyone feel brave tonight and like to come off mute and practice lobbying a friend or significant other or anyone in your life about either getting a dog or something else, or even if you want to just start with one piece, like the hard message. What is your story? What brings you to the Sierra Club lobby day on 100% clean energy? Or what are your facts? What head message might you use? So this is our chance to do a little practice. If anyone is feeling brave. I'm gonna hold the silence. Does anyone want to share a story about what brings them here? Personal connection to the environment or anything like that? Great. I have a hand from Megan.
Sure, I'll be brave. I'll keep it
Thank
brief,
you.
and just touch on like why the environment matters to me and why I'm a volunteer for the Sierra Club and why it's such a big deal for me. Is I have cared about the environment for pretty much as long as I can remember. Growing up, my mom was the type of mom who would let me and my brother watch like an hour of cartoons on the weekend and said, "Get out of my house. It's a beautiful day. It's gorgeous outside. You got to go play outside." And so that set the foundation for me loving the environment and appreciating being outside. And then more recently in my college career, I had the most wonderful professor in a class that was called ecofeminism. So we really researched the connection between spirituality, womanhood, Mother Earth, and the divine. And she was one of those people whose eyes just like lit up when she spoke. This woman is pure magic. And she really taught us how not only are we living on Earth, we are part of Earth, we are part of the great Earth Mother, and we cannot live without her. So it climate change is the most existential threat to us all. And not only is it an existential threat in the practical sense of we can't live on a planet that is too hot to grow food or fish, but also we're a part of the planet. So that is worth something too.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Megan. That was perfect. Does anyone else want to come off mute?
You just
Oh, shoot.
No worries if it was a mistake.
there.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Come
Can you
on
hear
in.
me? Okay, Judith in Princeton Junction. I grew up, I'm 75, and I've seen a lot of changes in the environment in my lifetime. When I was growing up in New York on Long Island, we had yellow skies, not blue, because we were getting pollution from New Jersey. Um, and the air was really, really bad. And I was hearing stories about rivers exploding into flames. My mom's family was in Niagara Falls, and when we visited, the air was so horrible to breathe that I would cover my face and use the blanket in the car so that I didn't have to breathe it. And the water tasted terrible. When the EPA came along and things started getting cleaned up, industry left our country. Niagara Falls became clean air. And I had always visited going across the bridge to Canada, where the air was clean and there were flowers everywhere and people smiled. So when the EPA came along, I thought, well, maybe our country will be as clean and beautiful as Canada someday. Country to me, of course, was New York. So over my lifetime, the weather has changed tremendously. And we used to get a lot of snow in the winter. We had a real winter, and we had a real summer and spring and fall. Now with climate change, the what's called the Arctic vortex is wobbling, and we are getting a lot of air coming down from the Arctic, and that fluctuates with air coming up from the south. So we're getting this wacky weather where we have very cold days and very warm days like we just went through. It's really scary. As a gardener, I see huge changes. The area that we live in was one growing period, one place in the growing cycle when we came here, and we are now in a much warmer one than 35 years later than when we first moved here. So on and on like that. I've just seen so much scary change. It really makes me terrified, and it breaks my heart because we were on such a good track with Biden and the IRA. I really had great hope, and now I feel like I've got to do everything I can to stop this administration from destroying the progress that we were making and taking us back to what I remember as a kid, the yellow skies and just horrible. So that's my story. That's why I'm in this fight. I'm fighting with everything I've got. Bob is there with me. We have kids, we have grandkids, and we don't want the world to be worse when we leave than it was going to be, that we were on track for it to be.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was excellent. Encourage you for the lobby day. There's like 3 or 4 different stories in there to maybe pick 2, and just because of the time limitation, that's
Right.
just my one bit of feedback, but all beautiful stories and super important to lead with something like that. So thank you. All right, in the interest of time, we'll move on. We're going to talk about the bills now, or sorry, keep saying the bills. The bill, which is 100% clean energy by 2035. And I will pass it to our next speaker.
Thanks, Dan. So I'll give a quick overview of 100% clean energy by 2035. First of all, why 100% by 2035? Why do we need this? This legislation would set New Jersey on a path forward to clean energy generation. And this is really important because currently, right now, our state is an electricity importer. So we consume more electricity than we generate. And we need a lot more generation to meet our increasing demand. From our current generation, about 42% comes from our nuclear fleet, 7% comes from solar, and the rest comes entirely from fossil fuels. So we have a good amount of progress left to go. With the Clean Energy Act of 2018, we're already required by law to generate 50% of our electricity from renewables. In this case, that just means solar and wind by 2030. So that's in the next 5 years. The difference with 100% clean energy by 2035 is that we would expand the definition to include our existing nuclear fleet and also battery storage projects. And it would, of course, extend the timeline to 2035, which would be 10 years from now. So as I mentioned, there's an electricity demand crisis due mainly to the build out of data centers and industrial scale developments in New Jersey. So we need to increase our generation of electricity to meet this demand. And there's 2 options to go about this. So the first way is to generate all of that electricity in state, which is what we want. And within that, we can generate more dirty energy, or it can be clean. The other option would be to continue to buy more electricity from out of state. But then the key piece is that we would be missing out on all of the green jobs that would be created if if the electricity was to be generated in New Jersey. So with that in mind, Keith, let me just switch slides. We want to ensure that all of the energy we're building out is clean and it's in New Jersey for reasons that all of us on here know, for our public health, for our climate, to address air pollution, and to stay away from fossil fuels. So when it comes to the status and timeline of this bill, originally we were working hard on moving forward Bill S-237 on the Senate side, and on the Assembly side, A 1480. However, there was a lot of legislative and labor conflicts, back and forth drama that arose from this bill, so now we consider it poisoned. So currently the governor's office is working and negotiating a new version of the bill in partnership with labor and leaders within the labor unions that had concerns and the legislature to figure this all out so we can get this done. And this version has yet to be introduced, but it's coming soon. And so what this bill that's coming would do is codify Governor Murphy's executive order 315, which is 100% clean energy by 2035. And it would also include a protective clean energy definition that was negotiated and vetted by environmental justice and community groups across the state. So we really want to get this codified. And there is a sense of urgency to this. We all know this is Governor Murphy's last term. So we need to do this before he leaves office, because then we would lose the executive order and the ability for our state to achieve the 100% clean energy by 2035 and use it as a baseline for things like our energy master plan as our state moves forward. So the key asks for Lobby Day for this bill is, of course, will you support 100% clean energy by 2035 for New Jersey? Then if they say yes, which is great, and we hope they do, we would ask them if they're willing to co-sponsor the bill to show support for the concept. And once we have the new bill number, we would let them know so that they are co-sponsoring that legislation. And then, so on this following slide, looks like a lot, but we're going to give you all of this. These are some talking points that you can use when you're lobbying. So feel free to, I'll just gloss over it, but if there's anything that resonates with you, feel free to jot it down. So when you're lobbying, it feels natural and you're hitting on what resonated with you. Go ahead, Tony. Did you have a question?
Okay, just got it off mute.
There you go.
The I'm a little confused about how it all works on Lobby Day. I mean, are we speaking before a panel of assembly people, or are we supposed to find these assembly people in the corridors of the State House and try to buttonhole them, or how are we going to get the message across?
So great question, and feel free to jump in, Dan. But we will have scheduled legislative meetings, so hopefully we'll try and match you based on where you live with your legislator if they're available. But also outside of the scheduled meetings, if we have time during the rally or in the hallways to grab any legislator and talk to them really quickly, we'll also be able to do that. Go ahead, Allison, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Allison McLeod, she, her, hers. I'm the Deputy Director for the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, and we are partnering with the Sierra Club on the Lobby Day. I want to apologize that I'm not on camera. I'm in transit right now, so unfortunately I can't see everyone. But I just wanted to, I know I'm going to talk in a little bit, but I just wanted to give you a little clarity to that question, and thank you so much for it. When you registered for the Lobby Day through the Mobilize link that was sent around, that gives some of the back end staff your address. And the reason that we're asking for that from everybody is because we want to make sure we're going to do everything we can to match you with your legislator in a direct one-on-one meeting. So we have the committee room all day. So you will get the chance to sit down with either the assembly person or the senator in your district and say, I care about this. This is what matters to me, because as a voter in their district, that is the most powerful voice, because you are their direct constituent. So that is the goal for the day. Acknowledging that certain legislators are not going to be in the State House. They might not have committee that day, or they might say, we're unavailable or what have you. Our next is to get a staffer from their office. If we can't match you with somebody, again, our top priority is to match you with somebody in that district. Then if we can't do that, we do want to match you with somebody else. So somebody who's either on a committee that's going to vote for it, or is a key legislator, or is somebody who is involved in leadership. So we're going to have a lot of meetings going on all day, but the goal is to have you physically in front of somebody in a small meeting. So I hope that gives a little clarity. And then, as Jackie said, we're going to be there all day with, so if people are there, there's also lots of legislators walking around the hallways. And that's what I think, everybody referenced earlier. You just kind of grab somebody in the hallway, hand them your one pager and say, hey, can I talk to you about why I care about this? So we'll have that going on as well.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Allison. So going back to talking points here, again, I know this is a lot, but you can take what you like and leave what you don't. Like I mentioned, New Jersey needs more power generation. We want it to be clean. We need to stay away from the build out of new fossil fuel infrastructure that can last for decades to come. We do not want that in New Jersey's future. A new report by the American Lung Association just came out with our state of the air, and nearly all of our counties in New Jersey have failing grades from C, D, and F. So clean energy will help clean our air and also promote public health. We know that the Trump administration is threatening the state's ability to determine their clean energy goals, so we need to get this codified. New Jersey has to stand strong against the tyranny from the Trump administration and move forward for a cheaper and cleaner future. Starting this week, our electric bills, our utility bills are going up because of the increased demand due to the lack of supply in the grid. So clean energy is an essential solution to that. It's also cheaper. So with building more power sources in New Jersey, we want to ensure that it's cheaper, clean energy that's being built in state, because ultimately the costs are going to be absorbed by ratepayers in the state. Yep, just want to emphasize clean energy is cheap, faster to build. New solar is actually the cheapest right now. So that's a good point to mention during lobby day. It takes 5 to 6 years to build out a new fossil fuel power plant. So we need solutions for the short and long term. Fossil fuel generation is neither. It is not a solution. So we need to move forward with clean generation. You may get a question regarding offshore wind, and we want to reinforce to legislators that we can get to 100% clean energy without offshore wind in these 4 years, and offshore wind will come in later. In the meantime, we're going to scale up on solar and battery storage across the state. And again, emphasizing affordability of clean energy, it's an issue for everyone across the state. So to avoid electric bills, going up, we need to transition to clean energy. And this is something that legislators can do to address the affordability crisis in the state, where a lot of the problem is with our regional grid operator. Codifying this 100% clean energy target is something that they can do right now. And I know I just said a lot, so like I said, we're going to be sharing this, and we'll give you talking points the day of, so you'll have all of this to build on. Do you have a question, Bob?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you touched on it. Is nuclear, what's the feel for nuclear? Because I would think that would come up, that people feel that, renewable won't provide enough energy, and so they'll be asking about that.
That is a great question, and a question they're likely to ask. Because nuclear is tricky, we would encourage you to refer to each lobby group will have a leader with you. So you can refer them to the leader, or I don't know, Allison, if you're on, if you want to speak at all to nuclear and how to take it.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Thanks for that, Jackie. So 2 things. I'm happy to talk about nuclear, but also I was going to say, and thank you, Jackie, for that. In any of these lobby meetings, you'll have someone either from the Sierra Club or from New Jersey LCB or from, one of our partner organizations that works on the bill with you to kind of answer technical questions and be there, just as support for you. So again, the most powerful voice in this are you, the constituents. They hear from lobbyists like us all the time. So we want you to do most of the talking, but you will have a resource there. So don't feel like you need to get all the technical bills. We'll have people there to support you and answer those kind of questions. But to your question on nuclear, right now, the way the Clean Energy Act of 2018 is written, nuclear does not count. quote unquote, towards our clean energy goals, even though we haven't. So what this bill would do, the 100% by 2035, is, as Jackie said, expand the definition and include existing nuclear and battery storage. The existing nuclear is 42% of our current generation. And so working with environmental justice folks and other advocates, everyone sort of agreed on that definition to capture that existing 42%. So that's part of the reason why this legislation is so critical, because if we don't count that, we're just going to have to buy it somewhere else. And so that is a key part of this, is that the bill would basically now include existing nuclear. Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Yeah, I just wonder that they won't dismiss everything else for the nuclear.
Yeah, I think different legislators have different opinions. Some people really like nuclear, some people don't like it at all. I think the key thing to emphasize for people is that this legislation doesn't tell them exactly what mix they need to do. It gives them the ability to make the choices that make sense for New Jersey. And ultimately, as Jackie said, like, right now, the fastest, cheapest form of energy is solar. So if you're comfortable with that, you can lean into that and say, look, the cheapest, fastest way to get more power on our grid actually isn't expanding fossil fuels, it's solar. And you can talk about that if you're comfortable with it. Different legislators will take different angles, but you will definitely have technical support in all of your meetings for any of those questions.
Okay. I just one other technical question about that. I mean, can you confidently talk about battery, the battery power as being something that's there and is available now? Because it's still not completely tested. So can we confidently, promote that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and thank you for it. I will say that a lot of this is from now through 2035, so we're talking about scale and projection. So the example we like to give when people say, is this feasible? Can we do this with these technologies like battery storage? Is we say, if you look at where solar was 10 years ago in terms of cost and availability, the costs have plummeted and availability has skyrocketed. As you start to do things at scale, they become much cheaper, more available, and we're projecting the same for battery storage. And there are separate efforts right now happening in the legislature to expand and support battery storage. So all of that is happening simultaneously. So yes, we do think battery storage is a really key part of this. Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much, Allison.
Thank you.
All right. Back to you, Dan.
All right, found my unmute button. Great. So thank you all for sharing about the topic that we're going to be lobbying on, and now we'll just wrap up with a couple more slides. So just to review how to facilitate a lobby meeting. Each group member is going to introduce themselves. Don't forget to say where you're coming from, especially if you're a constituent, as Allison mentioned. That's super important. So, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm coming from wherever you live. And if you're comfortable with it, if you have one constituent in the group and people from other towns, try and have the constituent play an active role in the meeting if they're comfortable with it. Not required, but it does help. And then normally after you introduce yourself, this is normally where it go from Bill 1 to Bill 2 to Bill 3. But in this case, we have one issue, one bill at hand. So you're going to break things up by, I think one way to do it would be to have one or two people lead with the heart message, whoever feels most comfortable telling the story. We heard some great stories already tonight. Then maybe one or two lean into the facts. Maybe about how solar is cheaper, nuclear is super expensive, we know, and leading with that, whoever feels most comfortable with that, and then have someone on your team be the person who makes the ask. So that's just one way you can break it up between different lobby group members. Make sure you make note of the legislator's stance so we can mark that later and have a good understanding of how to continue our lobbying efforts around this bill. And if they have any questions, you're going to have a legislator sheet that has their picture, a little bit of information about them, their committees, and then on the back, a chance to write notes for the bill and any questions that they have. So make sure to take those down throughout the meeting. Don't forget to thank them for their time at the end of the meeting, and leave behind the one-page fact sheet. If you're comfortable with it, ask for a photo so we can share on social media. It's always good to have that and documentation of the lobby day. That is going to be it for facilitating the meeting. And next slide, please. Like we said, we're working on setting up lobby meetings now. So the teams and the groupings will be formed. Like Allison said, we're trying our best to match you with your district and your legislator. So that'll be closer to the event. Allison, looks like you want to jump in here.
Yeah, so sorry, I just wanted to add one thing that I forgot to say is that some of the bill sponsors also want to participate and hear from you. We will let you know that too, because some of you might have people that it's a different sort of lobby meeting where you're saying, thank you for your support. How can we help you? How can we help spread the message? How can we help move the bill? And we'll talk to you about that too. But some of you are going to have probably friendlier meetings. So I just wanted to let you know that too, that some of you live in districts with people who are already co-sponsors, and we'll let you know that too.
Great. All right, I think that wraps it up, Jackie. Do we have any other questions, conversation? Tony, come on in.
Yeah, related to my question earlier, I can probably recognize legislators from my own community, but you mentioned that if we happen to bump into other legislators, we should also talk to them. And how am I supposed to recognize them? Will they be wearing name cards that says, "Hi, I'm Joe from the 7th District," or what?
Yeah, no, great. Oh, I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
No, you go
I
ahead,
was
Allison.
okay. I was just going to say, again, we will have staff there to help you and to point people out. I know Anjali and Jackie and the folks at Sierra are putting together some lip books as kind of cheat sheets to let you know who's going to be there. A really good way to do it is to stand outside a committee room, and we'll be like, oh, there's the committee chair, or here are the people walking in. We'll point them out to you. They also wear really big pins. So they do actually wear big lapel pins that are really easily recognizable. So we will be there to help you with all of that. We definitely don't expect you to memorize 120 faces. We will be there to help.
Yeah, I'm definitely not good at memorizing 120 faces, but
no worries at all there.
Okay, good. Thanks.
And like I said, we will have the printed sheets as well with their pictures. They're sometimes slightly blurry, but it helps.
Thank you. Looking forward.
Any other questions for the group?
Yeah, just a quick one is if Allison's not is still with us. Allison, hey, it's Michael Klein. How are you?
Oh, hi, Michael. How you doing?
I am good. My insider question for you is if you know if the Senate Environment Committee is going to meet that day. They could be, but the agendas don't come out till the week beforehand or so. But there
is a rumor that Senate Environment is meeting at 10 that day.
Okay. That's your rumor is good enough.
As of now, that could change at any time. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Any last questions?
As far as where we're meeting, it says is it the State Annex House, 131, 137 West State Street? Is that where we're meeting at 9 o'clock?
Let's see, I just got the schedule today from Anjali. In front of the State House Annex building for the rally and press conference is where we'll meet.
And
Are you good with that?
We can send out a map if that's helpful to everyone that's registered.
Well, I just want to confirm the address is 131, 137 West State Street, Trenton. Does that sound right?
That's right.
Okay.
And Jackie, it'll be pretty obvious, right? Like where the Sierra Club group is, and
especially because the rally is at 9 a.m. You should see us with our signs right out front. So we'll be right there.
Got a question.
Yeah.
Bob and I were lobbying for the first time in our lives about 2 weeks ago for other bills.
The plastics bills.
Yeah, the plastics bills. And it was pretty much the same as what you went over today with, except for different bills. Hi, Jackie. Jackie was great. And we were supposed to bring our own lunch is what I want to ask about. Is that the same thing? We bring our own lunch? We have a place to park it, or we carry it with us, or how does that work?
So I believe together Sierra Club and LCV will be bringing catering either breakfast or lunch, but definitely bring snacks and make sure you have water if you have any dietary restrictions or things like that. But we are hoping to provide some kind of either breakfast or lunch during the day as well. And we'll let you know as we get closer which that'll be. Did you want to jump in, Allison?
No, I was just gonna say the same thing, Jackie. Thanks.
Okay. Yep, no problem.
Yeah, and the other question is, we have a conflict at 4 o'clock. We're trying to be back here by 4. It's looked like the wrap up wouldn't be as critical as the work we do before that, correct?
Yeah, and definitely if you can't make it all day, that's no problem. There's no obligations to stay the whole time. Just come for as much or as little as you're able.
Okay.
No worries. Thank you.
Is there,
Right, and anything else? Go ahead.
is there bipartisan support for this idea generally, or are we meeting another Republican and Democratic loggerheads?
Like we saw with the plastics? Yeah.
I can take this one if you want me to,
Yeah,
Jackie.
I was gonna say, Allison, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I will say this, on the bill right now, it is all Democrats. The opposition you will hear runs the gamut. There is bipartisan support for different parts of each of this. Like we've heard bipartisan support for some of the nuclear provisions. We've heard bipartisan support for some of the battery storage. There is the issue of offshore wind, as I'm sure many of you know, is extremely partisan. So as a package, it will tend to be partisan, but there are parts that different members on both sides of the aisle like. And I would say if you live in a Republican district, we will let you know that, like, hey, your legislator really supports and cares about this part, because you can lean into that in your meeting. I would say something that I will just say everyone is focusing on and cares about right now are utility bills. All of Trenton, that they are talking about it all the time. And regardless, people's ears perk up when we tell them we have a way to low energy. That is a bipartisan message, I would say. But it's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I'll add to color this is that there's some 20, 30 something states that have codified a renewable energy goal into law, whether it's 100% by 2040 or 2045 or 70%, you know, so this is not out of touch with what other states are doing. We got 100% in Vermont last year by 2035. So if that is something you hear from legislators that we're way out in left field, this is something that many other states have done. Any last thoughts, questions before we wrap?
I guess one question I have is whether there's any hope of getting offshore wind for New Jersey at this point. We've had so many failures. What's the status of that?
Who wants to take this one?
I can start.
Oh yeah, you want to start?
Or go ahead, Allison.
I can talk just in the context of this bill. This bill does not right now include any codification for offshore wind goals, but it doesn't exclude offshore wind. So it says, like, when offshore wind is built, it will count, but it doesn't require offshore wind, if that makes sense, because it honestly has become pretty, it just became like politically distracting to include it, because then that's all anybody wanted to talk about rather than like the larger goal. But as for the overall status, I don't know, Jackie, if you were gonna jump in on that in terms of like what the future holds.
I was just gonna say, we're in a tricky waiting point right now for the next 4 years, but we definitely have offshore wind factored into New Jersey's clean energy future and are gonna keep fighting to make it happen. So there's definitely still hope. Not giving up on offshore wind, but it's just on a pause right now with the pushback from the federal administration.
And in addition to the wind, how about community solar, which is something we've been hearing a lot about? Some of us have big trees shading our roofs and we can't put up solar because there's no sun on them. But I've heard that there are several communities in New Jersey that have been using community solar where they build kind of a microgrid for communities, anything like that?
Definitely. Community solar is a great solution, clean energy solution, but also making clean energy accessible to more people. So we do have it in New Jersey, but we do want to expand it even more. So definitely okay to talk about that and bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah. Olivia?
I know it was mentioned before that there's limited parking in the parking garage. Would you say parking is difficult because I'm most likely going to be driving down myself?
I would say try and get there early. And I haven't had a problem. I'll probably try and get there around 8, and you should definitely get a spot in the garage. Or if not, there's street parking right in front of the State House. You may have to pay for the spot, but it's right there, and pretty convenient. And I'll put my contact as well. If you have any issue like getting there during the day or logistics, you can email me or call me, and we'll make sure you get situated.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, just recommend coming early if you want to try for the State House garage.
Mhm.
Any other last questions? Alrighty, well, it's good talking with you all tonight. Best of luck on the lobby day. You can reach out anytime to us at Sierra Club or LCV, and thank you for doing this work. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, you
Thanks.
too.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone.